Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you. We are here to announce the opening tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. just down the street on Carson Street um, at the hospital. The opening of a new testing site that will be available to Carson residents, all LA County residents, but this one will be the most convenient. More than a month ago, the city council unanimously voted to make our city available as a testing site for LA County. We then wrote a letter that was signed by all the entire city council. We addressed it to the LA County Public Health, to other county officials, to the state, making sure that they were aware of Carson's desire to have a testing site here in our city, not only to service the 100,000 residents of our great city, but to service also the tens and thousands of employees that come and work in the private sector to all the various businesses in our city, and to also service the other tens of thousands, bringing an additional 100,000 individuals from the surrounding area, because up until the opening of this test center tomorrow morning, the closest test center to Carson is almost 10 miles away. Um, and as after we made that plea, we then learned that Carson's numbers have been steadily increasing. We, as the chart shows, we are now among the top 10 cities in LA County in terms of positive coronavirus test results, among the 10 most infected in LA County. And that is compared to other cities that, like Torrance next door, whose population is more than double that of Carson's. We are right there with them. City of Glendale, again, their population is more than double, and Carson is right there with them. City of Santa Clarita, their population is more than double that of Carson's, and we are right there with them in terms of positive test results. City of Long Beach, just to the south of us, 5 times bigger than our population, and Carson is right there with them in terms of positive tests. And of course, there's the city of Los Angeles, which is much, much bigger, which proves the point that our infection rate here in the city of Carson is one of the worst, as indicated by the chart that we have here of the 10 of the top 8 largest cities with the number of positive coronavirus tests. Carson's infection rate on a per capita basis is the highest, the highest of the 88 cities. And are we good? The absolute highest. And that is unacceptable. And we have been following up with the county to get a test site here in Carson. Again, not selfishly just for our Carson residents, but because the facts demand that a test site be here, because we have the highest number of positive test results, and on a per capita basis, we are among the highest in all of LA County. And then over the weekend, we learned from a statement attributed to the LA County Director of Public Health, Dr. Barbara Ferrer, who supposedly admitted that while testing has been expanding throughout the county, it is still more readily available in more affluent communities. That is absolutely unacceptable. Whether you're rich or poor, whether you're insured or uninsured, or whether you're white or non-white. The coronavirus does not discriminate. It is infecting all communities and disproportionately communities like Carson, especially when you take into account another fact that Carson population is comprised of a number of minority and ethnic groups, and one of the groups that's more susceptible to dying from the coronavirus is the African American community. And the facts show that of all the cities in LA County, the proportion of African Americans residing in Carson is much higher than any other city. So it becomes inexplicable when we think about the fact that we haven't had a test site. Now, this test site here at the hospital, 2 blocks outside the city's jurisdiction, while appreciated and welcome, is insufficient. The fact that all experts, and as reiterated by Governor Newsom last week, all experts unanimously around the world have said the number one thing that we all need to do is have testing, both to tackle the coronavirus and pandemic, and also as we come out of this pandemic and we make the decision to relax the stay-at-home orders, to relax the restriction of the closure of non-essential businesses, and to relax and start to open our economy. We cannot do that rationally, logically, and thoughtfully unless we have testing. And to compound that problem, when you have testing that should be made objectively, when you have testing decisions that should be made as to where these testing sites are going to be, they should be made objectively, based on facts, not based on politics or other criteria. It further compounds the problem that we have insufficient testing. So again, while we are pleased that this facility is opening down the street, it is down the street. It's not in Carson. And I would hope and implore all residents, not only of Carson, but of LA County, for your own safety, to ask the LA County Public Health Department, as it makes its determination moving forward, where to place these critically needed test centers, to take politics out of it, to take preference out of it, to take any biases out of it, and make the decision based on strictly the facts. Which communities need it? Where's the highest infection rate? And where is it going to be most accessible to a larger section of the population in LA County, as opposed to just certain enclaves? That's unacceptable. So we'll be available for questions from all the media that are here in a few minutes. But I want to give an opportunity to my colleagues to say a few words. And I want to begin with our Mayor Pro Tem, Jim Deere, who initiated and proposed the idea more than a month ago of volunteering our community center as a prospective test site. LA County had the opportunity to use our facility, but yet they went to other cities that did not want it, did not need it. But here, where we wanted it and where it was needed, we were ignored. So with that, I want to invite Mayor Pro Tem Jim Deere to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to start off by thanking everyone for wearing a mask today. The last time I stood at this podium, I told the people in the audience, including the media, you should be wearing a mask today. About 3/4 of them did. Today it looks like 100%. So give yourselves a hand for that. It's good to have a microphone when you clap, isn't it? So, ladies and gentlemen, I concur with the mayor on most points, though I did initiate the idea of having a test center in Carson, and the council, I want to thank all of my colleagues for coming together in unity, and all five of us move forward to make that happen. I want to thank the city manager and her staff. It's the city manager's staff that did the legwork to make sure that because they got on it right away, maybe not as fast as I would have, but at least almost as fast, to contact the county and get a testing center for Carson. It is at Harbor UCLA Medical Center. Those of you who have lived here a long time, we used to call it Harbor General Hospital. It's literally 2 blocks from the house that I own in Carson. I go over the Stephen White Middle School bridge at 220th Street. 5 minutes, I can be at that hospital on Vermont Avenue. The testing center, though, is on the next major street, I believe. The testing center entrance would be on Normandy Avenue. So if you go to Carson Street and Normandy, hopefully there'll be signage for people who feel they have any type of symptoms at all that may be related to COVID-19. Get tested right away. Statistics have shown that people who get tested first and early on the symptoms and get treatment early have a better chance of survival. And ladies and gentlemen, we're here because this is an issue of life and death. This is an issue where we have to come together as a city, as a county, as a state, as a nation, and as being a world pandemic as the earth. We have to all work together to do our best. Now, I believe in Carson, we are doing what we can do, and we are united in that effort, and that's what's important. Putting aside all other issues, the council will come together, the staff will come together, the community will come together to make sure that we diminish the pain for our community, diminish the fatalities. There have been many, many publicly advertised aspects of success stories where people get sick, they get well pretty quick. It happens differently with different people. If you have underlying health issues, you really, really should be careful, because the issue of this COVID-19 world pandemic is something we take to heart and something that we are dedicated to. Again, I want to thank the city manager and her staff. I want to thank the sheriff, his staff, and I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank everyone for focusing and concentrating on what we need to do as a community. I know that we are going to have a pandemic that's going to go on for a while. I mean, that's what all indicators are. And we're going to have to look at budget issues, Mr. Mayor. We're going to have to look at all sorts of changes in our city. And we will do that as a united city council. So thank you. God bless you, and be safe.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Next, I want to invite Councilmember Hilton to say a few words. He identified, long before I saw it anywhere in the media, the fact that African American population is particularly susceptible to the COVID-19 virus and disease, and it kills at much higher rate in the African American community than in any other community, and that was first pointed out publicly at a council meeting by Councilmember Hilton, long before it was reported in the news, or long before I saw it in the media. So I commend him for his research and effort in that regard, and I'd like to invite him to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly, this is somewhat of exciting day that Carson now has access to, I think, what is this pandemic that's scaring and killing a number of people. Today we have access It's not quite where we want it, but it is the closest partnership that the county has to offer. I've been in communications with the supervisor of this particular district just this morning on my way to the press conference. And he told me, Councilman, hold fast. This is what we can do right now at this particular moment. He said, but we should talk and explore some mobile testing where we come in mobilely and test people. So, Carson, I do want to point out that this is adjacent to our city, what they call unincorporated West Carson, even though it has a Torrance address. I do want to encourage all of you to, if you have symptoms, if you feel as if you're been impacted by COVID-19, I do want to encourage you to make sure that you log online and access an appointment. If you don't have the ability to log online, you can call 211, and 211 will actually direct you. Our hope, our plan is as the numbers increase here in Carson, we have to continue to practice our social distance and make sure that we are aware of what's going on. This pandemic is real. We've never seen anything like it. I want to commend my city council, my mayor, my city council, and for those people who are working at the city and everyone, the essential workers. We've never seen anything like this in life. I believe our Mayor Pro Tem said we've seen it with the Span flu, but this is something that we haven't seen in our generation. We haven't seen anything like this in our generation, and it behooves us to make sure that we follow medical advice, not political advice, but medical advice. And I want to encourage all of the Carson residents to do what you can to make sure that you have, you go get tested and make sure that we have the access that we need. So I do want to thank the county for partnering with us. It did take a little while, but we're here now, and we're getting a little closer. And I expect tomorrow will be even more, will be even closer. It is my hope that maybe we can look at budget items as a city council and see if we can divert some of the past things from events that we're not having this year, and make sure that we invest in some testing for our community. Maybe mobile testing, because we've had to cancel a number of events this year, and I believe we're canceling a whole lot of events this year. And that's a savings in our budget, but it could go to our community to implore mobile testing. Again, my name is Councilman Juwan Hilton, and I approve this message.
Thank you, Councilman. Next, I want to invite our next council member here, Councilmember Hicks, who again unanimously supported our effort to bring this testing site to Carson. But in addition, Councilmember Hicks has been calling on the county to let us know whereabouts in the city of Carson, which is just under 20 square miles, the individuals that have tested positive um, are. Are they in one particular neighborhood? Are they spread out evenly throughout the city? Are they in senior resting homes? Are they in particular developments? And Councilmember Hicks has been talking about that for a few weeks now. And I understand now for the first time, the state and the county have just released where if you're a senior citizen and you're in a senior citizen home, if there's a concentration, that's now being made public. It's something that Councilmember Hicks has been calling for a few weeks now, but he's also calling for it throughout Carson. We need to know, because at the end of the day, whether you have COVID-19 and you test positive and you're symptomatic or asymptomatic, it's not your fault. It's not anyone's fault. It's here. We can deal with where it originated and all that stuff later on, but it's here now, and it's part of our society, and it's going to be part of our society for many, many months moving forward. We need to deal with it, and the best way to deal with it, as Councilmember Hicks has been saying, is by getting as much information as possible. So I want to commend him for being a leader in that, and now invite him to come up and say a few words. Councilmember Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Today we are actually celebrating that we're going to actually have a test site close to the city of Carson. My biggest concern is our first responders having the ability to go and know whether or not they have been exposed or a carrier of COVID-19. In addition to our first responders, too, are many clerks that are working in their stores who may not have thought about being tested. Now they have the access of being tested. I think, as been stated by the mayor, for people to know if they are a carrier, asymptomatic, something to that effect, so at least they know how to go about their day and to be quarantined or not to be out there at all, because many times you may be a carrier but not having any of the symptoms, but what you're doing, you're spreading it throughout the entire city. So I commend us for working with the county and having us a location that we can actually have a test site. I just hope at some point in time that we can have a test site actually in the city of Carson itself. To the 98 plus 100,000 residents here in the city of Carson, please be safe. If you do not need to go out, please stay at home. And if you are out, please wear a mask and don't be out there for a long period of time. I know that it's called cabin fever, and I know many of us are having that now. I say we're in the long stretch of a long process of coming to some part of normalcy. I don't think normal will ever be what we thought it was at some point in time. It's going to be a new normal. But understanding that now that we have this test site here in the city of Carson, utilize it, tell your friends about it who live in the city, know if you are positive or know if you're not positive. But the main objective is to know. And I think unknowing is more dangerous than anything else in this community. I do applaud my colleague for putting together and having this together along with the city staff. My request at this point, because I've talked to many of the residents, they're still having problems going to our local supermarkets. There are still not cleaning supplies made available. There's still no alcohol that's made available. If we have contacts with any of the grocery stores through Kroger, through Ralph's, through Albertsons, whoever that might be, we need to try to get them to be able to give us some type of cleaning solutions. I was at our Walmart. They actually put in some in place about maybe 2 or 3 cases. It was gone within 5 minutes. There's still an issue. People want to clean. And I think that if we as a body can put something together, I hope that we can. But understanding right now, we are in an epidemic proportion that is beyond what anyone has ever thought about. So to all of the residents that are out there, please be safe. And again, if you do not need to go out, stay at home, but always wash your hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Hicks. And again, just to all the residents that we now have a testing site here at the hospital, a couple of blocks outside the city, but it's much closer than any other testing site that the county has made available. And if you, as the Mayor Pro Tem indicated, if you have any symptoms, to please go there. I like Council Member Hilton's suggestion about rededicating some of our resources and looking at our budget, because the fact of the matter is that we need to do more for our residents. We need to do all we can for our residents. And again, I want to commend all my colleagues, including Councilwoman Lula Davis Holmes, who could not be here, for being united in this effort to provide the best service at this particular situation for all our residents. Thank you.